Cheryl played on that's right, 6 of Canada's World Championship hockey teams and was voted the top defenseman at the 2002 Canadian Women's Hockey National Championship. Get this, her greatest career achievements are her 2 Olympic gold medals from the Salt Lake City and Torino Winter Games. In addition to her hockey career, Cheryl has been an in-studio analyst for TSN's coverage of the last 2 Women's World Hockey Championships. Ladies, give it up for Cheryl Pounder.
Now, I have to correct one thing. My greatest accomplishments of my entire life is that I have 2 beautiful young daughters. Yeah. You know, those little girls have grown up with me, 6 and 4. And when I was a little girl, I always loved the sport of hockey. Now, I don't know if any of you in here like hockey, but we are women, we are strong, we are powerful. Give me it up. Now, I loved hockey, but I wasn't allowed to play. And I remember one day my brother said, Cheryl, you can come out and play road hockey with us, and you can go in net. And then, of course, they'd aim the ball at my head, and the ball would roll down this endless street, and I'd run, only to get that ball to come back and play net again. I'd get up when I fell because I loved it. My mom says to this very day she would look out the kitchen window and she'd see me smiling. Why? I'd found my passion. Ladies, the only way we find our passion is by participating, engaging in our lives. Now, one day, my mom and dad called us in. They said, Kirk, Karen, Gary, Cheryl, come on inside. And we went inside the family living room. My grandparents were in from Montreal. My siblings were there, my parents. My mom, she turned on the television. Not because of the sport that I was about to witness, but about the hope and the inspiration and the messaging that the Olympics provide. It was the opening ceremonies to the Olympic Winter Games. And when I watched Canada walk in, I felt this amazing inspiration overcome me, saying, Cheryl, you can always be stronger, you can always be better. That was what my mom wanted to be instilled in us from a young age. In that moment, I turned to my grandma, somewhere in this area. I know you girls aren't my grandma, but I looked at my grandma and I said, Grams, I'm gonna be there one day. My grandma didn't say anything, so I looked at her, I said, Grandma, I'm gonna be there one day. She still didn't say anything. So I said, Grandma, I'm gonna be there one day. And in that moment, she said something to me that lives with me to this very day. She said, Cheryl, if that is what you want, believe in yourself. Give it everything you've got because you will never know unless you try. Now, I took those words to heart. I immediately went to my bedroom. I started writing words all over my bedroom walls. Now, don't do this. I wrote words like courage, passion, vision, dreams. I didn't even spell half of them correctly. I heard they were good words. I was 8. I was 8 years old when the dream was born. I was a little girl. When I was a woman, that became a vision that I saw come true. Unbelievable. Now, of course, I have those 2 young daughters, 6 and 4, but when my 6-year-old was 3, we let her stay up for the first period of the Toronto Maple Leaf game. She walked up to the television, she stood tall, Oh Canada came on, she rocked back and forth, and then she looked at the TV. And she looked at me, her mom, she looked at the television, she looked back at her father, and then the innocent words of a child, she looked at me and she said, Mommy, I think they're boys. She had no idea boys played hockey. Isn't that incredible? That over 20 years had passed, but because someone had stood up and had an impact, my daughters now believe that hockey was made for them. Strength, courage, and power to be who you want to be. Make your mark. For me, that dream took almost 20 years, but there's one story I want to share with you. The women's hockey team is made of 21 females, but in the year 2006, it was the Olympic Winter Games, and the team hadn't been doing very well. So the coaching staff had come to 29 girls and said, girls, are you willing to leave your family, your friends, your job, security, whatever it may be, to move to Calgary to train full-time, to try and make the team? Now, I was scared. I thought, what if I don't make it? What will I do? But something within me said, Cheryl, believe in yourself. give it everything you've got. So I moved out to Calgary, but if that wasn't enough, right before the truly intensive training started, the coaching staff came up to us and said, girls, remember I mentioned that we want you to be a greater team. We want you to reach down for your passion, for your goals, for your vision, and fight to become the best that you can be. The coach said, I'm going to take 29 of you to Calgary, not 21. You're going to compete against one another. And oh yeah, before the truly intensive training starts, we're going to take you on a 29-day road trip. So all 29 of you are going to go to Prince Edward Island and undergo high-volume training. I don't know if you know what high-volume training means, but this was anywhere from 6 to 12 hours of physical exercise a day. We were tired, we were exhausted. They put us in groups of 3 and 4, veterans with rookies, rookies with rookies, veterans with veterans. They wanted to see, could you believe in each other, be a good teammate? Could you listen? No gossip. Our days went something like this. We'd wake up in the morning, we'd eat, because you must fuel your body. Do not be afraid of your food. Food energizes, not just your muscles, but your mind. So we'd eat, then of course we'd go for an hour-long beach run. After the hour-long beach run, we'd eat again. Then we'd go on the ice for 2 full hours. After the 2 full hour ice session, we'd eat again. Then we'd do an hour of stick handling. Then we'd have a snack. Then we'd do an hour of shooting. Then we'd have a bike ride. Then we'd eat again. Then we'd go back on the ice. We'd eat again. And then we'd do yoga to de-stress. We'd go to bed, and we'd do it again the next day. Do you think we were tired, ladies? Do you think we were tired? We were exhausted and slightly irritable. 29 girls competing for the same spots on the same team. And we started to do this. We weren't being inclusive, including one another, because we were worried about ourselves. In fact, one cabin wasn't getting along at all. The coach had actually come up to us and said, you know what? You're not going on the ice anymore. Instead, we've rented each and every one of you a bike. For the next 4 days and 3 nights, you're going to ride your bike around Prince Edward Island in your groups of 3 and 4. As I mentioned, one cabin wasn't getting along very well at all. And the coach actually said, please start listening to one another. But this cabin said, no, please split us up. We're not getting along. We really don't like one another. And the coach said, well, you're not going to be staying in a hotel room after 4 to 6 hours of riding your bike. Instead, the Canadian military, for the first time ever, has lent us their camping gear. And you're going to tent together, even though you're not getting along. Now this cabin looked and said, please just split us up again. And the coach said, well, I have one question for you. Are you a team? And the answer was yes, but the coach said, no buts. If you're a team, you listen, you communicate, you compromise, you be a good person. Because through that comes great self-esteem and value and worth. Figure it out, stick together. Because the foundation for every individual, every girl in this room must be respect of themselves and of each other. So everyone set out on that bike path. And I started out on that bike path. Now we put in groups of 3 and 4, and I thought to myself, Cheryl, if you leave your group, you're gonna come in first. I was one of the strongest cyclists on the team, and I knew it. I had powerful legs, powerful butt, and I could really push a bike. And I remember thinking to myself, if I leave my team, I'm gonna come in first. That'll be a check for Cheryl Pounder. I wanna make this team. When I come in first, I'm going to cross that finish line. Who's going to see me? Oh, the coach is going to see me. Then when the coach sees me, I'm going to go and I'm going to set up my tent, and I'm going to get to bed quicker than everyone else. Therefore, I have a better chance of making this team. But we've been asked to stick together for a reason. Now, it's taken me a long time to talk about this because I'm ashamed of it. But we have choices, ladies. We're going to do things that aren't nice in our life. But we have a choice to learn from it and correct it. And I remember I came in. I put my head down and I crossed that finish line first. Check. Coach saw me. Check. And I went to set up the camp, and I couldn't do it. Why? The military tents were quite large. I needed my teammates to help me. I had to sit and wait while they came in, and I had to look at them and say sorry. In that moment, I made a conscious choice that I would never leave my teammate again. For the course of my career, I did not. We crossed the finish line, and we had one day left, the 28th day on the bike path. On that 28th day, we decided to draft off one another. And what that meant was when you're in the front, the wind and the rain is at your face, and you are pushing and you are pedaling for each and every person behind them, whether you like them or not, because you respect them and yourself. And then all of a sudden, when you're tired and you're about to fall off, all of a sudden someone comes up behind you, gives you a nudge and says, "My turn." And sometimes you're just having a bad day. You know, something's going on at home, personally. You don't feel good about yourself, maybe, those around you. So your teammates, those girlfriends, they have to help you. So sometimes that means taking an extra turn and leaving someone in the middle. But guess what? We all have our time in the middle. We crossed the finish line, it was the 28th day, and we did it efficiently and in record time because we worked together. We were all hugging, we all respected one another. If you ask me to this very day, I truly believe the Olympic gold medal was won on the bike path in Prince Edward Island before we even got to the Olympic Winter Games. When 29 girls made a conscious choice to work together, be confident, be proud, believe in one another, stick together, no gossip, and making a mark together. But we had one day left, everybody. It was the 29th day, and I remember I was tired, I was exhausted, I was feeling sorry for myself. And our coach called a meeting. She said, "Ladies, you've been unbelievable. You stuck together," and she said, "Tomorrow is your final day of training camp. It is your 29th and final day, and tomorrow," she said, "you will be doing a triathlon." Now, I didn't know what to do. Are you kidding? I was so tired, so exhausted. I had no idea how I was going to push myself through this. That's when she said, "Well, there's a good part to this. In your groups of 3, yeah, you're going to do a triathlon. But you're going to choose who does what leg of that triathlon. So you're going to decide who does the run, the bike, and the swim. You're going to be accountable to each other, your strengths, your weaknesses." And we chose our runner, our biker, and our swimmer. Now, we had some near drownings in the pool and some terrible accidents on the bike path. But the most memorable moment for me happened in the water. We had a girl on our team, and we all know someone like this, who is blessed with an unbelievable talent for the game of hockey. Now, each and every one of you in here is blessed with an unbelievable skill for something. You may not have found your passion yet, but I guarantee you, you are all blessed with a gift. This girl's gift was sports, hockey in particular. But because she was blessed from such a young age, she never learned how to fight, how to push herself, how to work. Well, now she was in the pool and she was struggling. This was something she wasn't used to. She was struggling, and the coach comes over to her and says, "Oh, I've asked you to do too much. 5 more laps, and you can get out." Picture her teammates, the girls around the pool. All of us did this. And we're thinking to ourselves, here we go, just cheat, don't fight, don't work. You're going to make this team anyways. But why can't you reach outside yourself, work hard, believe, have the courage to push yourself, not just for you, but for us? And in that moment, she actually popped her head up over the side of the pool, and she screamed to the coach, hey, coach, and the coach came over. She said, "Coach, has anyone finished?" And the coach said, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, a number of girls have finished." And in that moment, she said something that I will never forget. She said, "Okay then, I will stay in the water, and I will finish every single lap, no matter how long it takes me." All of a sudden, we all did this, and we all started clapping, and we cheered her on. In one moment, ladies, she had earned the respect of her entire team. Why? Because she decided to do it not just for herself, but for the girlfriends around her. In that moment, I realized we all have an impact on one another. We make our mark. What's your impact going to be? The person beside you. You going to be a friend? Are you going to be positive? Or are you going to be confident? And when you are good to one another, that grows his self-esteem and his confidence. We crossed that finish line on the 29th day, ladies. I was tired, I was exhausted. We were all crying, we were hugging. And the coach comes up to us and says, "Congratulations." We looked at her and said, "What?" She said, "I asked you to work for 29 days. You were tired, you were exhausted, and you probably wanted to give up, but you found a way to fight through and believe in your dreams and in yourselves." She said, "When you leave for the Winter Olympics, you will be on the road for exactly 29 days. Your final day, the 29th, will be your gold medal day. Do you have what it takes, not as an athlete, but as a person?" In that moment, our slogan was, "Take care of yourself, take care of each other." Can you say that? Take care of yourself, take care of each other. Can you say it a bit louder? Take care of yourself, take care of each other. That was our slogan for the year, and isn't it funny? About 2 months later, before the team was named, we were asked to do an extremely difficult training run. And Carolyn Ouellette comes up to me. She's a French girl on the team, the captain of the Team Canada women's hockey team that just won this year in Sochi. And Carolyn comes up to me and she says, "Cheryl, we have to do a long training run. Will you run with me?" Now, Carolyn's French, I'm English. We have different friends on the team. She comes up to me and she says, "Pounder, pounder." That's her French accent, the best I can do. "Will you run with me?" I said, "Yeah, Carolyn, I will run with you." She says, "Okay." And we start. We started jogging, and about 2 kilometers in, we were exhausted, and Carolyn stops. "Pounder, pounder, just leave me, go, 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 leave me." So I stopped, because I remembered what I had done a few months earlier, and the commitment I'd made to myself that I would never leave my teammate again. So I looked and I said, "Well, Carolyn, I can't leave you. This is exactly why we started together." She says, "Pounder, just leave me, just leave me." She's yelling at me now. "I will not leave you, Carolyn. I will not leave you. And I really want to make this team, which means we need to cross that finish line together in a certain amount of time. So I'd appreciate if you'd keep moving." "Pounder, pounder." I said, "I'm not leaving you. So if you stop, I stop." She says, "Fine." She keeps running. So about 2 kilometers later, we're jogging. Guess who stops? I do. "Carolyn, just leave me. Just leave me, Carolyn. Go, go, go." "Pounder, I cannot leave you. I cannot leave you." We did this for the better part of 12 kilometers, ladies. We crossed the finish line. I was 30 years old. I was holding her hand and I was crying. But we made it. We made it in the allotted time, and we both made the team. Isn't it funny that Carolyn Ouellette was the captain of Team Canada at Sochi? Each and every one of you has great leadership qualities within you. You all have the power to have an impact on one another and on yourselves. Make sure you believe in yourself, you respect, and most of all, in the words that my grandmother said to me, believe in yourself. You'll never know unless you try. Thank you.